So a few weeks back, I talked about Phineas and Ferb the movie Across the Second Dimension, and honestly, that's probably my favorite video I've done yet, and it got a lot of good feedback, so you know what? We're gonna do it again! I initially was planning to rank every single Phineas and Ferb special, but then I realized, yeah, it's gonna take a really long time to watch all those specials, so what else could I talk about in the meantime? Oh yeah! Candace Against the Universe, the direct sequel to one of the best cartoon movies of all time.
I'd have 2 nickels.
After a long wait, it released in 2020 and ended up being like the only movie that came out that year, I think. Oh wait, Soul came out. Soul's great. But yeah, otherwise it was all pretty much this one. So did it live up to the hype? Okay, first things first, the disclaimer. I like this movie, I do. I think it's got a lot of good jokes, some classic feeling Phineas and Ferb songs. The characters are just as they were where they left them, mostly. And overall, it definitely has the same heart and energy of the show, with some fun concepts thrown in, and a great climax. But with all that being said, I don't think this one is nearly as well written or well directed as its predecessor. Overall, the movie is just kind of inconsistent. Not bad, but it's noticeably inconsistent, including when I watched it the very first time. So let's get into the movie and why it's good, in spite of some pretty big problems. So first off, let's talk about the hook of the movie, right? I did that last time. So in the first film, it's this super cool concept of the boys discovering Perry's secret identity, a scenario 90% of children growing up in the 2000s or early 2010s, aka me, had imagined a bajillion times. This time, Candace gets abducted by aliens who make her feel special during a vulnerable period of her life. Hey, what's this footage? That's not the movie. There's the movie. Yeah, this concept has been done before in the series in the episode Unfair Science Fair Redux. The execution is quite different, and this definitely expands on the concept a lot more than that episode, but it is a little underwhelming. The Perry thing is something that could never be done in the show well, where this concept has been done in the show before. So what comes out of this concept? Well, a pretty cool alien society and a decent antagonist. I like the way she mirrors Candace a lot, with busting her brothers turning her into a dictator. Sort of a subtle follow-up to 2D Dude from the first film in a way, even if she's not nearly as memorable in any other way. I really like her concept, and I like her relationship with Candace, but that's about it. To really get into the inconsistency thing though, we really gotta talk about more specific topics with the movie. So let's start with the easiest and most notable one. The animation. What am I looking at here? So what's going on with the animation in this movie? So there's 3 animation studios on this thing, and they each get 1 act of the film. The Act 1 studio looks legitimately just kind of bad. Lots of wonky line work, thickness issues, borderline looks like fake DeviantArt renders that you'd find on Google Images at times. I know that because I have to find a lot of renders for my thumbnails. Second act is animation by, I believe, the same studio that did the show, and it looks perfectly fine, pretty much exactly like the show. That's a good thing. Then the third act is another new studio, but lord, it's some of the best looking stuff to ever come out of this franchise. The expressions, the line thickness, I really like the way they draw the eyelashes on female characters. Yeah, I don't know, this is the highlight of the movie for sure visually. The climax and final song are incredible. This could be in theaters and I'd barely blink, but like, what is this first act? Yeah, the animation is seriously a mixed bag in this movie, and while some parts of it look better than the first movie is much more consistent. I think has better overall art direction. I like the alien planet, but nothing else here outside of the climax really stands out. But you know, there were some production issues, so I can excuse that. The writing issues are a way bigger problem in my opinion. First off, this movie's kinda painfully slow near the middle. I wish they cut out the entire part with the coward aliens. They are never funny and don't really amount to anything besides being a diversion and I guess arresting the villain at the end. But like, you could have done that with anyone, and the villain's punishment is really underdeveloped, so I would have preferred if she just literally got eaten by the evil plant. The pacing is really harmed by all these really long gags. Like, there are so many times where the movie just stops for a joke, and the joke goes on for like over a minute in some cases, which is nuts. Phineas and Ferb is known for fast-paced gags that go with the flow. Here, they break the flow, and that is legitimately a problem. It's pretty novel seeing Doof on a regular adventure with the kids, and there's a lot of funny moments that come out of it, but they don't really do anything with this concept, besides like his weird little rivalry with Isabella, I guess. Like, compared to what we got with Agent P in the first movie, this is used purely for jokes, which is fine. You shouldn't really attempt a serious emotional storyline with Doof, but I feel this team up never reaches its full potential, you know? The characters are all good and consistent. I like what they do with Perry here a lot. It's imaginative and gets some quality Doof and Perry time. Vanessa's used pretty well considering she wasn't even in the first movie, which is really weird now that I'm thinking about it. So I'm glad she got her time to shine here. Phineas and Ferb are good. Candace is actually pretty great as the protagonist, and she gets the more serious emotion arc. It hits really nice at the end. Not quite as good as the Perry stuff in the first movie, but still really good. I like the scene near the end with her and the boys bonding a ton. Buford's bit with the canoe is the comedic highlight of the movie. Isabella's more aggressive here thanks to Doof irritating her, and they actually get a duet, which I was not expecting, but it's also the best scene in the movie, so there. The new characters don't really do much aside from the villain, who I previously mentioned is fine and serviceable. But yeah, like, it's a great cast. I like that they actually utilize the friends here after they did Nada in the first movie. That's actually really cool. Hold on, I'm forgetting someone. Oh yeah, what did you do to Baljeet? So full transparency, Baljeet is my favorite character in Phineas and Ferb. I don't know why, something about this genius little Indian kiddo always endeared me a lot, and he's been my favorite since I was a kid, a position that's only improved with time. But oh my gosh, I cannot stand what they did to him in this movie. Like, it's strangely out of character. He's the logical genius. That is his main character trait. Yet here, he's been completely illogical, and it feels weird. He would not obsess with space adventure to the extent where he forgets how physics work. He's Baljeet. This irritates me more than it probably should, but such an odd misunderstanding of his character that I gently don't know how it happened, or like what to say about it, aside from they messed him up. Fix him in the upcoming revival, or I break your arms, Dan Povenmire. But you know, in spite of my issues with the movie, I can't call it bad at all. It is indeed a good movie, just inferior to the first one. But because I don't like being too negative, I want to end this video on some positive. And even a couple things that the movie has over second to mention, like the score. This is a cinematic score right here. I love the big Perry moment during the climax. Like, listen to this, it's so good. I think the songs are on par, even if a lot of the best ones were cut from the movie. None of them are bad the way they are, and I like most of them a whole bunch. These are the Phineas and Ferb jams we know and love. I think the emotional core of Candace's story is strong and paced pretty well. It works well for the movie. I like the ultimate ending, too, with Candace letting her brothers off the hook for once. Even if timeline-wise, that is a bit strange. But it works for the movie. The ending song is strong, too. It ends the movie with a bang and leaves you feeling pretty good overall. I'd love a third movie, but Dan and Swampy are both very busy right now, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Is this an appropriate place to end the video? I don't care. Bye.